So it looks like we're on a countdown and we are live with Barbara Craig. Welcome, everybody, and thank you, Barbara, for joining us today.
It's a pleasure and good to be with you all.
So Barbara Craig has been in ELT now for a good amount of time. Currently, you're a researcher and a consultant with Macquarie University. Her PhD focuses on, is it the transition of teachers into leadership? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Cool.
right.
So,
And I have to say, it's underway. It's not complete.
okay, a work in
It's in
progress.
the
Brilliant.
makings. Yes.
Cool, cool. So you have experience in senior management roles, and you're also the joint coordinator for LAMSIG. So,
Yeah.
wow, wonderful to be talking to you on, and talking to you just a sort of less than 2 weeks before the IATEFL conference in Edinburgh, and the LAMSIG pre-conference event on the 7th of April. So well, I think it'd be useful to hear about that as well.
Yeah. Let's chat about that. I'm getting pretty excited. I'm sure others are as well.
Yeah, no, me too. Yeah, definitely. So first of all, though, where are you based, Barbara?
So I am in Adelaide in Australia, and I know you very kindly said that I was with Macquarie. I am with Macquarie University, which is in Sydney, but I'm there enrolled for my PhD and doing it remotely. So those of you who teach online, I love you. I appreciate you from a student perspective, and as somebody who used to teach online, I understand the difficulties too. But yeah, that's where I am. I'm in Adelaide, which is sort of southern central Australia.
Lovely, lovely. And what takes up most of your time now? I'd imagine PhD is part of it there, but
That's it. That's it now. So we were in Sydney, and I was managing a language centre at the university there. And then when we shifted for family reasons to Adelaide, it was a good time for me to start my PhD, and that's what takes up my time.
okay, great. So I mentioned you're a joint coordinator for the
Yeah.
LAMSIG, so the Leadership and Management Special Interest Group. How did you get into that role?
That's a good question. I've been part of LAMSIG for many years. And then I was just approached to consider coming on the committee when the next call went out for committee members. And very quickly, that became a discussion about co-coordinating, because Gerard, who was the current coordinator, what had moved into a role of being a trustee for IATEFL. So there was a vacancy, and Josh was quite happy to work alongside me, who was the novice in the committee stakes. So it was very easy, actually. It was just about putting my hand up and saying, yep, happy to do that.
Excellent. Okay. And thinking about the pre-conference event, the LAMSIG pre-conference event on the 7th of April, both in person in Edinburgh, but also can be attended online. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If I were a manager or a leader in, I guess, any sector, but obviously focusing on English language teaching, what would I be able to take away from the pre-conference event?
Yes, well, I think if you came to the LAMSIG one, because there are several pre-conference events running on that day, and the LAMSIG one is specifically focused on leadership and management issues in English language teaching. And but I think perhaps the biggest thing that you might get out of it is collaboration and connection with other global people who are leading all around the world. And you would come away with maybe some conference buddies if you're attending face to face. And if you're attending online, other people that you would get to know and maybe reconnect with again if you join some of our online events that we hold throughout the year. So it's a really lovely way to connect with other leaders, because it can be a bit lonely out there in leaderland. But then the PCE itself, in terms of the content, we've designed it really specifically to be practical and help address some of those things that many of us find difficult in our leadership roles. And it doesn't matter whether we're new to leadership or whether we've been in it a long time. So, for example, one of the things, maybe especially if you're new to the role, is coping with the hectic pace of management. There's just interruptions and meetings and things to be done all the time, and actually getting to do our own work often doesn't happen till the end of the day once we've done everybody else's or attended to everybody else. So learning how to manage ourselves, manage our time, manage all those demands that are placed on us, I think is a really tricky thing. And we've got Mike and Katerina who are going to give us some really great tips, really practical tools and resources, and we'll be able to talk together about what's worked for each other as well, about managing ourselves, managing our day. One of my biggest fears is budgets. Give me words any day, but numbers, that's not my thing, right? And I think actually that quite a few of us are the same.
Yep, I completely
yeah,
agree. Yeah, I'm the same.
yeah. So this is going to be really helpful because Ellie is going to run again a really practical session on how do we do financial reporting, how do we do budgets, just really basic stuff. And I think I'm quite looking forward to that because I think I'm going to be with friends. I won't be feeling like the odd one out who just doesn't get numbers and budgets and all those sorts of things. So facing that real fear. And then what I know from my own research, but also from, I'm sure you're all aware that one of the biggest hurdles or difficulties or fear points for teacher leaders or language center leaders is those times where we have to have those tough conversations with people, either about their performance or some other aspect. Maybe it's about a student complaint about them. Those conversations are really tricky and delicate, and they can impact our relationship with that person and even the culture within the school. So this is a really special session that we're going to have with Dr. Reem Olabi, and she is actually not an English language teacher. She comes from the biomedical and pharmaceutical world, or pharmacological world, but one of her interests is how we have these difficult conversations. She's an associate professor in the US, so she's going to be dialing in and helping us in a really practical way look at how we can have those really tricky conversations in a way that's uplifting, honest, authentic, in a way that's conducive perhaps to the outcomes that we want to achieve by having those talks. Those are some of the things I think that we can look forward to. And then perhaps one more thing is particularly for those attending face-to-face, but also if you're online, is that we've got some really great sponsors of the day, and often we don't get the chance to talk to people like Oxford University Press or Cambridge University Press. We're busy in our own worlds, but this is the opportunity to talk with our sponsors. And of course, we can't forget English Training Online to talk about, how might what they offer, fix a need that I've got in my language centre. So really personalised approach to talking to our sponsors. So I think there's lots that we can go away with, whether we're attending online or whether we're face-to-face.
I think it certainly sounds like a day packed full of very, very useful resources, takeaways. And just going back to your comment there that you made before, which was being in a leadership or middle management role can be lonely. And I've certainly felt that lots of times when you're in your office by yourself and everyone else is having the conversations outside, or just griping about whatever, and you're say, well, who do I gripe to then? Who can I direct? How do I get this off my chest? How do I just share? And I found sometimes it can be just, you mentioned different issues, like money matters, that idea of, I don't understand this spreadsheet and all the numbers. And if somebody just says, yeah, don't worry, me neither, it also almost feels, alleviating, doesn't it? Just go, oh, it's not me. It's
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
yeah,
mean, thinking about that type of I think, the pre-conference event for LAMSIG is, I think it's a wonderful place, isn't it, to just connect with other people
yeah,
and
yeah.
expand that learning network.
I think that's right. And it is that emotional support
Yeah.
that you get from being with other leaders who kind of get it. Um, and they're not, you can be quite frank. They
Mm,
don't know, often they're from the other side of the world. They don't know the people you're talking about. You can afford
mm.
to be quite honest. You can change names, you can anonymize things,
Yeah.
but it's just a very lovely place to find
Mm,
close emotional support, but also really practical support, and sometimes just it's quite inspiring to hear other people's stories and what they're doing in their centres and get other ideas about what might be possible. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Seeing things from a different perspective, sometimes that helps, doesn't it? And
hugely.
obviously, if you're attending face to face, sort of in person in Edinburgh, that disconnection from your working environment also helps, doesn't it? Sometimes to see it from a
Yeah.
different perspective.
I think that's true, actually. And sometimes the effort of getting away or the effort of carving out a little bit of time to attend something can
Mm,
seem like it's just not worth it. But I think that as leaders, we need to make sure we do protect our time a little bit
mm,
to get fed, and whether that's fed with ideas or information or emotional
mm,
management. There's a whole heap of things that we can get by being away from our workplace, either by being online or by being face to face at the conference. And I think that when we do get topped up like that, we can see, like you said, Paul, we can see things differently. We
mm,
can be somewhat separated from the immediate happenings of our center and the emotion that goes with that often, to be able to think a little bit differently and objectively, or try a different approach. So I think
mm,
it's helpful on a number of levels.
mm, mm. Good point. Thank you.
Mm.
So thinking about you personally then, as regard, within LAMSIG and member of IATEFL, how has being part of LAMSIG helped you in your role?
Yes, well, I think one of the big things is what we've just talked about,
Mm,
really is just getting really practically oriented insights from other parts of the world.
mm,
And every situation is different, every school is different, every country is different, every context is different. But it doesn't mean that we can't get really good ideas that we can adapt to our own. So for me, that's been really useful, looking at what others are doing and thinking about how I can apply that. When I was leading a language centre, how can I apply that really
mm,
constructively? How can I connect my team, for example, with up-to-date pedagogy? There's really great
mm,
cutting edge ideas that are coming through. There's researchers who are presenting things that they've been discovering. There's teachers who are presenting what they've been trialing in the
mm,
classroom. There are sponsors who are presenting things that they've developed to help. So there's a whole way that we can either get that information and relay it to our teams, or
mm,
maybe we can encourage our own staff to be involved in some way, through an institutional membership or just an individual membership, and get fed
Yeah.
themselves. Yeah, so I think that's probably one of the big things. Being a
Mm.
lot of the sessions are workshops, so it's not just sitting and having
Yeah.
endless information coming in
Mhm.
at you. It's quite discussion based,
Yep.
and it gives you a chance to tease out ideas and ask questions, and I find that's really useful. And making friends, of course, all over the world. And then for me now as a researcher, it keeps me grounded. It keeps me, in touch with really
Mm.
what is happening
Yeah.
um, at the chalk face or the
Yeah.
whiteboard face or the screen or whatever
Of
it
the
is
screen
these
face.
days. Yeah, the screen face. So I think there's heaps. There's a lot, and that's
Yeah.
just my
Yeah.
perspective. I mean, you've probably got something to add to
No,
that, Paul.
definitely. I mean, I certainly agree. I mean, the workshop sort of format of many of the sessions, I felt that was where I connected with a lot of people. And then, maybe exchange numbers or cards or something, and you go, right, there we go. I'm growing my, sort of professional learning network or personal learning network almost exponentially. Plus, you're in a workshop because you're with other people and therefore like-minded. You're there all for similar reasons. So now you've already got it. There's a connection there. And then you said about, going to sessions where people are presenting the latest research and maybe it hasn't been published yet. Uh,
Yeah,
and you're there going, wow, I'm getting this before anybody else knows anything about it, And I, I mean, in the past, you've seen presentations of certain research or ideas. You said teaching techniques, new ways of presenting material that then only kind of filter down to the wider sort of base of ELT, maybe even a couple of years later. And you go, well, I heard about that 2 years ago. So
yeah,
by attending, you're there going, wow, I'm really keeping up to date there, aren't I? And therefore able to adapt it to your own situation as well.
that's right.
And I think, yeah, that's where the the ideas, I know certainly for the management and leadership, it's like, well, I have this problem here now. And somebody said to me, yeah, oh, a couple of years ago, there was a talk here in IATEFL that, and I went back, had a look at the article, and I thought, that's it. The solutions are all there for me.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that certainly helped for me lots as well. And yeah, just being able to talk to, you mentioned it yourself, to talk to people on a par. They understand you. They know what you're talking about. If I talk to my wife, she's understandable. She'll listen to me, but she doesn't work in the same sector as me. She doesn't work in the same environment. She's going, yeah, love, that's very nice. Okay, so can we just go and do what we have to do now? And whereas, if you are talking to somebody who's in that similar situation, you got that sympathetic ear.
yeah. Shared pain and shared joy.
Yes, that's an important thing. So,
And actually, on that
yeah,
note,
yeah.
Paul, the first time I met you was last year at the conference.
Mm,
So it's interesting. So we're nearly a year after that meeting.
yep.
So I think this is a great example of how you meet somebody at the conference and things evolve and you've become involved more and more with LAMSIG. You've redesigned our website, you've jumped in boots and all, and we're all the richer for your involvement and meeting us.
Well,
And
likewise, I think I'm certainly getting a lot more than I'm giving, but that's probably why I felt, oh, I'd like to give back, basically because last year at the pre-conference event, at the whole IATEFL and LAMSIG, everything it did, it was like, wow, I'm getting a lot from this. I should be giving back. I almost felt guilty, for taking so much. So that was, I think, one of the reasons when I heard, hey, listen, there's a call for people to join. Yeah, first one to say, right, yeah, if I can
yeah,
help. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
That's
I
not a
found.
prerequisite, by the way, for coming to any of our events. You're welcome to come and just get.
And just
You
yes, yes, yeah, you don't have to give back. Definitely, definitely. So on that point then, and we've probably touched upon it already, thinking about managers or leaders who are attending IATEFL generally, hopefully they'll all be at the pre-conference, the LAMSIG pre-conference event. But IATEFL is, we were talking just before coming on air, how demanding the conference can be because the wealth of
Mm,
information and the data
mm,
and everything going on. It's such a wonderful event, but
yeah.
you need to go with a plan of action, don't you?
I think you do. I think if you just rock up, it's fine, but
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming because the conference program is very big. It takes time to read it and to figure out what you want to
Mm,
go to. Um, and I think that's actually where the SIGs can be quite helpful, because the conference program is themed. So you could go to the LAM theme, which is the leadership and management theme, and you can find all of those ones. Or you can go to, if you're interested in pronunciation, look at the themes
mm,
in the program so you can target what it is that you want to take back to your own center. But the SIG itself can be quite helpful too we talked about conference buddies. It
mm.
really is nice to have a familiar face, and IATEFL is a very friendly
Yeah.
association. There's people are willing to have a chat and to get to know you. So don't be shy in just introducing yourself and sparking up a conversation. And it doesn't matter how good your English language is because everybody is there understanding that
Exactly.
we're all learners on that English language journey somewhere
Mm,
along. And in terms of how to meet us in LAMSIG, there are 2 days where there's a Meet the SIG moment. And one is on Wednesday, the 9th of April at 10 a.m. I'm reading my screen because I had to write it down. And the other is Thursday, the 10th of April at 11:50. And somebody from LAMSIG or somebody from each of the SIGs will be present on the main IATEFL stand to say hi and to introduce themselves and to get to know you a little bit and to welcome you into the family that is our special interest group. So, and then I think the only other thing I would say is don't overload yourself because it's
mm,
so tempting to fill every minute that it's
mm,
hard to process all the information that's out there.
mm.
Take breaks, take moments to sit and write down what you've
Yeah.
been learning, think
And
about what you've
assimilate.
been learning.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
that's it. Process it a little bit, because it can be it's too much, and you go home
Yeah.
with, like it's hard to process. So try and process a little bit as you go, and
Mm.
as you said before, Paul, go with the plan. One, two, three things that you want to
Yeah,
try and
definitely get
find
out of
out.
it. Yeah, no, it's very good advice. And but I mean, it just shows you, doesn't it? Right? It's when we're talking about value for money. My goodness, there's just too much. You're getting for the input. Yeah. So that let's just remind everyone. LAMSIG, so Leadership and Management Special Interest Group pre-conference event. That's on the 7th of April. You can
Yes,
join online, is that
yes,
correct? Yeah.
that's
And
correct.
in person. So
Correct.
you can follow that. The registration, though, this is important. The registration for that ends at 4 p.m. UK time tomorrow. So Wednesday, 4 p.m. UK time. That's when registration for either the online or the in-person
Yeah,
pre-conference event for LAMSIG ends. So yeah,
yeah. Time is
still time
tight.
to
There
sign
is
up, isn't
still
there?
time, but we've got to keep marching on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, Barbara, thank you very much for allowing us to steal some valuable time, but it's been wonderful getting your insights, your advice, and very, very useful comments. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you in person at my second IATEFL conference in a few weeks' time.
Thanks, Paul. Really looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll meet some new people as well.
Definitely. Hopefully, we'll see you all there. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.